Hi there, Virtue again speaking. I'm going to talk about the Moon River Brewery. This was another one that I did because I guess you'd call inspired, I don't know if that's the right word, by the Ghost Adventures people. I was watching I was having a bit of a binge on Ghost Adventures. I like Ghost Adventures. I never used to. I used to really annoy me, but I kind of like it now. Um, I was watching it and I became really quite disturbed about what was going on. I also need to backpedal a little bit here as well. I was warned about this. People who know my clips know that I work with the dead. I have quite a spiritual ability. Starting to appreciate it even more and more these days because I'm starting to realise how complex it is. Anyway, apart from that, what happened was the Mercurians, I also call them mercenaries, and they work with me when I do a lot of these clearings of hauntings. They warned me about this, and I didn't realise straight away that this thing I was watching on the television was actually something they'd already indicated to me, that there was a woman who was in trouble with some sort of restaurant, and that this was quite a dangerous haunting. And as soon as I sort of saw this program, I recognised it. So I decided that I would do or attempt to do something. It sounds strange. Most people are probably saying, but how can you do that? You're in London. This is in the US. I'm very good at astral, and there is no time or geography in the dead world, so it really doesn't make any difference. I can do something remotely and I can do something on site. Probably prefer to do it on site because you sort of have this thing of turning up, doing what you need to do, and then walking away. Hopefully nothing follows you home. But I decided that I should attempt to do something because when I started to see what had been happening, I recognised that there was something quite dire in this building. Anyway, I'm going to move on to the next image. Okay, for those that don't know my clips, I don't tend to script them. I just tend to actually talk about the actual haunting. This is difficult. I am an Australian woman who now lives in London. I moved to London 4 years ago. I had an average ability to work as a medium, if you like, although I don't really particularly like that word. Never thought I'd be a medium, but I guess I am. Anyway, when I got to London, of course, it went through the roof because the UK is so goddamn haunted, it's ridiculous. And this is still the fallout of what I'm dealing with. Now, I know this is a US haunting, and I understand that, but it just shows the growth because London, there are layers and layers and layers and layers of haunting. It's just, sometimes it's like a pit straight down to hell. It's incredible. And in Australia, being such a young country, because apart from the Australian Aboriginals, with respect, they've been there for thousands and thousands of years, with the, shall we say, whiteys, as they probably call us, no offence to anyone, we've only been there a very short time. We don't know a lot of our own history there. It's not as complex with that sort of haunting because you don't get all of that history. I mean, London goes back to Roman times, and you've still got hauntings here from those times that nobody's ever cleared. And okay, I'm raving on, I know, but the point I'm trying to make is that London changed my life because it turned me into a medium. It pushed my medium skills through anything I could even imagine, And now I can sort of reach out and do these other hauntings. And I guess I do it on a more international level. I have no idea if this has actually cleared this actual building. I don't know. But I do know that at least I have it now on a piece, on a run of artwork. There's 3 paintings in this series. But this first one is a rather difficult one for me to talk about. Now, I call this thing a death demon, for want of a better word, because I don't know what the fuck it is, to be honest. I really don't. I do know what they're about. This, and I will explain it later, I will. This is a really difficult situation to deal with, and this is one of the situations that I wade into when I'm working with the dead in the UK. Is that, or even overseas in this case as well, this is a bad haunting. This is a nasty fucker, and pardon my language, but it is. What these death demons, and I just keep picking them up a lot lately and binding them, and I hope like hell it stops it, because it's a dangerous ass. It really is. They're not very high level. They live on the sort of lower planes of the spiritual realm, if you like. But they don't seem to be able to move a lot. One of the key things about them is that people will continually see them. They're like a very dark energy. They don't really have a human form. They're just not like a darkness. And they seem to show themselves for longer periods of time. Like, I get a lot of shadow people. The shadow people are just, usually it's usually dead angry men. But, there can be sort of demonic versions of them as well. But they don't generally hover like these do. They tend to stick around a lot more, and they tend to be very much in one place in a building. And people come across them, and it's just horrific, because what they do is they attach, especially to those people that are a little bit vulnerable. It may be over nothing. You may be in just a bad mood. You may be upset. It could be because you have some issues, all sorts of things. But if you're a little bit weak for some reason, they'll tend to attach to you. I don't get them attached to me, because I just tell them to go fuck themselves and chase the bastards down, because I'm not frightened of them. And I never will be frightened of them. But they are actually quite dangerous. So if you see something like that in an environment which seems to hover, and go with your gut. If it's something that is making you feel bad, get out. Don't be brave, just go. Because these things can be really nasty. Now, this is a problem because people have been affected by this thing. And I've seen footage of the people that have been affected by it. And it's horrific. And I don't want to be ghouling on their private pain. This is the other situation that I wade into when I'm talking about these hauntings, is that these are real people, and these people really got hurt by this thing. And I don't want to be making myself important by any sense in talking about their private pain, because I respect it. The only thing I'm going to say about this death demon is we have detached all the dead it was hanging on to, because that's what they do. They attach to living people. And I actually just don't want to go on with what they do, because I don't want people to be upset. And I know that sounds stupid, because I should be. But I guess the take-home lesson is, if you see something that is dark, that is not in human form, and hovers for a long time, get the fuck out, okay? Just go. And don't look back. And I think that's, that may be a bit messy and that may be not what people want to hear, but I think that's just about all I'm going to say about that. So I'll move on to the next image. Oh, okay. Those of you who haven't seen my paintings before and seen what I do with the dead, what you're looking at, the circle that goes around, is actually what I call a binding. Now, I can do this as a ritual. I'm going to put a free version of it on my website. I'll try and get a link down there to it in case people need to sort of be able to perform something to rid themselves of hauntings. And I'll stick it on my website. I can either do it as a ritual, I'll put it in the form on my website as a ritual, or I can paint it. It's the same result with me because I'm an artist. There are two types of bindings. The one you saw with the death demon is something that is, I work with my spiritual assistants, whom I call my mercenaries when they're working with these things, because I couldn't do it without them. There's no way I could clear or even capture these images without them. There's also a healing binding. I work with, it's actually a funny story. I will shortly do a clip on how I ended up with an archangel, because I did. I call him an angel deity. It is Michael, and he does help me out with the dead. And he made that offer to me, I picked him up from my spiritual healer. It was a bonus that I got. But he does actually help me out. Now, the ones that you see, the circle ones in my paintings that have the white centre, are the ones that I've asked for him to actually help me with. I can't clear everybody, I really can't, I don't have the time. These are the innocent people that were trapped with that death demon, and they have been freed and put in a healing binding. There were actually 3 people, because I know there was a lot of problems with people being pushed downstairs. One of my favourite things, I've been pushed downstairs twice. It's just, they're absolute bastards when they do it, they really are. Luckily I wasn't hurt. I'm fairly buoyant and I bounce off things, thank God. There were 3 of them actually doing the pushing, it wasn't just one. And they have been put into this healing binding. And freed from it. And I think we'll just move on to the next image. In a lot of the hauntings I deal with, you get this duality. I don't know, it's really weird. I try and get it into my mind in a sort of organised manner where you can sort of deal with it. I think a lot of the hauntings, this one is typical. It's quite a bad haunting. It's what I would call a major haunting. I tend to have a sort of a difference. There's minor hauntings, crossing people over, dealing with some people that are, stuck and trapped, and I'm quite okay to do that sort of thing myself. I've led a fairly big life. I've got some common sense, practical advice, and I tend to use that and manage to deal with a lot of the minor ones myself. I don't need my spiritual help to do it, but this is definitely one that is a major. And a lot of the hauntings that I do, they're almost like, I know people call them, what do they call them? Oh, I've forgotten the bloody word that they call them, but they say that there's like a vortex to get into hell. I tend to see them a bit differently. I tend to see them like a whirlwind. And you'll get 1 or 2 sort of negative things, like in this case, this death demon and the bullshit that it was putting into this building. And you'll get them sort of whirring around, and it will pull in other stuff. A lot of it is inhuman. This stuff is not, you don't want to take that home to meet mother, believe me, it's crap. There's some demonic stuff in there. There's some other stuff I don't identify. I'm not really sure what it is. But it's sort of it's been described as bacterial. As I said, I need to actually start talking to my spiritual assistance about what these things actually are, because I'm sort of, the thing with London is it's always on catch up, because I go out and I'm being got at by the dead. I mean, I've sort of got it under control a lot more, and I tend to be quite commanding and say, right, you're not doing this, you're not doing this. But it still is a consistent exploration of what the hell some of this stuff is. Again, this binding that's on these entities are, you're not going anywhere. But as I said, I don't really even know if it's had any sort of effect on the actual building and the inhabitants. I guess I'll find that out eventually. But at least, even with that said, at least we know what's in there, because I always know that these paintings are correct. They always have been all my life. I don't see why they would start leading me down the wrong path. Anyway, let's hope that there has been some relief at the Moon River Brewery, and I'm just about to go into another painting binge. I've got some more dead paintings to do, and I'm going to start very shortly. It's a bit of a pain in the ass when I start painting, because I get really exhausted, and I get really hyper at the same time. So if I'm a little bit off, this is why. I'm just about to go into a painting binge. I'm painting London's Dead again. I'm painting the Market Porter pub. I'm doing the second one in the series, and that was where I'm trying to get these two spirits. One of them killed the other one. It was a murder scene, and I'm actually trying, because they were friends before this happened, I'm actually trying to get them to be at peace. We're working towards a peaceful painting of them both. I've done the nasty one. I'm going to do the nice one now. So I'm a bit live at the moment. I really am. I might try and put some images up as I paint these things too. I don't know when it's going to come upon me, because I'm waiting. Paintings often fester within me for a while, and then out they come, and I'm just I'm waiting. It's really uncomfortable too. I hate it. I hate it when I know I've got paintings coming. I'll be okay once I get the paint out. I'm all ready. I've just got to do it. Anyway, I thought I'd get this done. I sincerely hope that Moon River Brewery is going to be a lot more peaceful. I hope I did do something to affect it. But even if I did, at least we know what's there. And maybe other people can come in and, build on this sort of thing, because it is a damn nasty haunting. And if I'm ever in Savannah, Georgia, it sounds fabulous. I've had a look at some of the stuff around this town. It sounds absolutely beautiful. I want a free lunch at the Moon River Brewery, and lots of their wonderful craft beer. Anyway, now I've given a plug for myself. I will go. I hope you enjoyed this. I'm sorry about it being a little bit on the vague side, but this happens when I start creating. And I hope you will join me in another clip. And bye for now.